Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Can you give us a little bit of introduction of your company?
Sure. I was working in the design business, working for some other interesting companies, and wanted to start my own business. And I had a lot of friends from around the world who did great design. And so I decided that what I would do is I would bring the designs into the United States. So my business is finding great brands that are making interesting products and bringing them into the US and then selling their products and promoting their products in the US and Canada. Right, most of them are from they're all from around the world. So from Japan and Hong Kong and the United Kingdom. I have the planters from New Zealand, the Bosky Sky Planter from New Zealand. New brand called Landscape Products, new for me, from Japan also. And I do work with a couple American brands too, Nuka and the Ply Prints, but so mostly from outside the United States. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And what are your criteria and philosophy of doing all this?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. My number one is that it appeals to me emotionally and visually. You know, I have to see it and just have a strong personal feeling for it. But my company is called Neo Utility, so I like things that are useful. I like things that you can use, whether it's a pencil or a pen or a watch or something for your desk. So I like to find things that are useful, but the Neo means new. So I like to find things that are useful but have a new way of approaching design, maybe a different way of looking at things. And so, for instance, a planter that will hang upside down, but it's very useful. It actually works very well, and it's very nice to have in your home. So that's my philosophy, is to find things that are useful. I don't really love items that are just for decoration, but I do love things that are playful, and I love toys. So I think pleasure and play is actually something that's very important and useful. So Charles Eames said, "Who's to say that pleasure is not useful?" So I think it is. So I represent a number of toys as well, but everything you can use, not just look at. You can use it. Yeah.
And what can you introduce a little bit about new products for this year?
Yeah, new products for this year. We have one whole new line here from Japan called Landscape Products, and one of the nice elements is that it's really simple, refined design, really using the natural materials, showcasing the natural materials, and very elemental, and they're all produced by hand in Japan. Yeah, and then also for me is Nuka watches. Just really fun, colorful watches, but all of the dials of the watches are completely original. They're not a traditional analog watch. It's a different way of telling time. It has each dial shows. It fills up with color as the day goes by. So the time moves and it increases, and the mass of your watch increases too. And the designer is named Matthew Waldman. It's a very creative designer from New York. Yeah. He has actually worked in Japan. He lived in Japan and he speaks Japanese, but he lives in New York City. Yeah. So. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He was coming from branding. So this is his brand, and then this brand is another interesting designer named Shin Nakahara. So those are my two new brands for this year. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so you are finding a lot of good design all over the world.
I am, yeah.
How, in your experience,
yes.
how well Americans have received to your message?
I think it's increasing the design awareness in the United States. I think that people do like design. I don't think the education of design is as high in the United States as it is in Europe or Asia yet, but it's increasing all the time, and there is a strong core of people who love design. And one nice thing in the United States is the museums are very strong in introducing design products. Even if it's an art museum, like MoMA has also a design section, but they have a very good shop actually for design. And so MoMA and San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, they're some of the strongest design shops are actually the museum shops. And they help bring the awareness of the design up in the US. I sell my products to those museums. So what I'm doing is I bring in the products to the US, and then I bring them out to the stores. So they're my partners. So they sell them for me, yeah. Yeah, and also with great design shops like Moss in New York or A+R in Los Angeles. So my partners are the different design shops. Yeah.
Sounds
And,
like they will be very pleased to see you.
yeah, they are. We're good friends, and a lot of the brands I work with, you're asking me how I find the brands, and very often it's things that I like and I see, but it's also relationships that I have. I was traveling around the world, to Taipei, to Hong Kong, to Tokyo many times, Europe, and I meet friends and I see what they do, and that's a lot of the relationships I have are from friendships, actually, from traveling around the design world. The design world is actually very small. I mean, it's a lot of the same people all the time, yeah. So, but it's nice. You have friends and you see them around the world. Yeah.
One last question. What is your background? Are you a designer? Or are you...
No, my background was I was in publishing, actually, as working with writers as an agent, helping them promote their work. But I had a passion for design and furniture, and I started collecting furniture, mostly Eames furniture, Charles and Ray Eames. And I became a little bit of an expert, and so I started to work with the Eames family in California, in LA, exactly. And so I worked with them, helping their business, promoting their work for 3 years, and that's how I began. I took my hobby, which was chairs and Eames furniture, and then I made it my business, yeah.